10 mysterious event that will make you question reality. Just know. Daily dose of knowledge. Foo Fighters. This term is used for unexplained phenomena in the form of luminous balls observed by airmen, sailors, and soldiers during World War II. One of the largest sightings of this type took place on August 12, 1942, during the fighting on the canal when American soldiers issued an anti-aircraft alert because they saw about 150 lights moving over the island of Taluji on which they were stationed. The military was sure that there was going to be a bombing. But the objects simply flew over the island. The strangest thing is that the Foo Fighters were mostly flattened spheres, moved faster than any airplane of that period, and performed maneuvers impossible for any flying craft built by man in those years, and often moved in groups of up to 150 at a time. Until the end of the war, various types of Foo Fighters objects were observed more and more frequently, but when the conflict came to an end, all reports of the objects also fell silent. To this day there is still speculation about what the so-called Foo Fighters were. Some even claim it was a secret weapon of the Third Reich. Black rings in the sky. July 2017. Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Among other areas, mysterious circles were spotted floating several tens of meters above the ground. They looked like circles formed from smoke, but it is not known to this day what they consisted of and what caused their formation. Eyewitnesses in various parts of the globe have observed this amazing phenomenon, and no one has been able to explain it unambiguously. Some claim that the circles were formed due to the explosion of fireworks. Others speculate that they may have come from chimneys. Still others believe that they come from visitors from another planet. Despite several videos showing this unusual phenomenon, nothing definite has been determined yet. Lifeboat on Bouvet Island. Bouvet Island is a Norwegian-owned piece of land in the South Atlantic. It is called the most isolated territory in the world due to the fact that it is 1,700 kilometers from the nearest land. In 1964, an English expedition reached the island and found a lifeboat with oars and a fuel tank nearby. However, there were no signs of human presence. Everything looked as if the people who had come on the raft had simply melted away. Until today, it is not known how the raft got on the island. But the strangest thing is that when another expedition reached the island 2 years later, the raft was no longer there, as if it had vanished into thin air. The disappearance of Katrin van Alst. 1946. Landscape Park, USA. 8-year-old Katrin van Alst and her parents go on a hike. Unfortunately, the adults lose sight of her and the girl disappears. The search goes on for 6 days until finally, exactly 48 kilometers and 183 meters away from Devil's Den Park, the rescue team comes across a cave from which the girl emerges as if nothing happened and says, "I am." To this day, it is not known what caused the girl to disappear. It is not known how she managed to move so far in such a short time. She herself remembers very little of this event. What also attracts attention is the calmness of the girl, who, despite spending 6 nights in the forest, despite hunger and cold, simply approached the rescue team and greeted them as if nothing had happened. Do you like our channel? Leave a subscribe, like and comment. Hessdalen Lights. In Norway, in 1811, a phenomenon took place in the Hessdalen Valley for which we had to wait almost 200 years for a repetition. We are talking about flashes and glows of light appearing in that area, observed by various observers systematically since the early 80s of the 20th century. The lights are visible in the distance above the valley, and there are no scientific explanations for their origin. Of course, the phenomenon has been photographed several times, but this has also failed to identify its cause. Mysterious lights in Kaikoura. Towards the end of 1978 in New Zealand, a television crew that arrived to that area to make a report on UFOs witnessed the appearance of another unidentified flying object even larger than the one they came to report. The event took place during a flight over New Zealand, and the whole thing was not only observed by 5 eyewitnesses, but also recorded on film and captured on the plane's radar. At the beginning, the crew observed small points of light which, however, transformed into one large unidentified glowing object following the aircraft for tens of miles. To this day, no rational explanation of this phenomenon has been possible. Mysterious sounds around the world. Sounds coming from unknown places have been reported around the world for quite some time. These phenomena over the past few years have been heard in Russia, the United States, Canada, Ukraine, or the United Kingdom, among others. The first information about this mysterious phenomenon was reported almost 10 years ago, and since then all people who had a chance to hear it are unable to identify it. Some compare it to the sound of trumpets, others to the sound of diesel engine working somewhere in distance. Still others describe a supposedly audible hum. The sound itself is very low, sometimes inaudible for some people. In addition, it is impossible to locate and even approximately determine where it is coming from. Do you like our channel? Leave a subscribe, like and comment. The monster from Missouri. In summer of 1972, 3 children from Louisiana, Missouri, were playing in front of their house, when all of a sudden they saw a monkey-like figure that was over 2 meters tall. The children quickly went home and the figure disappeared, leaving behind a strong smell of rot. The parents reported the encounter to the police, who organized a search. Although the creature was seen in the area several more times, it was never caught. Local hunters even organized a manhunt in the nearby woods. However, this one was also unsuccessful. On the other hand, many animal remains and a big nest made of leaves were found in the area. Currently, the creature is no longer seen in that area, and the whole matter remains a mystery to this day. Battle of Los Angeles. During World War II, on the night of February 24 to 25, 1941, several glowing objects were spotted in the sky near Los Angeles. This was later confirmed by radar showing an unidentified object. Moments after 2:25 a.m., anti-aircraft artillery opened fire. At first, the military was convinced that it was the Japanese Air Force that launched an air raid on Los Angeles. However, the object could not be identified. After some time, the glowing object turned back over the Pacific and disappeared. The alert was called off at 7:21 a.m. As a result of the shelling, several civilians were injured. To this day, it is not known what the unidentified object was. Jelly rain. In the small town of Augerville, Washington, an unusual rainfall fell during a storm on August 7, 1994. Countless small jelly-like particles, each about the size of a grain of rice, fell on one of the farms. Soon afterwards, the mother of the farm owner was taken to hospital with nausea and dizziness. But what is the most strange, when these strange particles were examined, it turned out that they consisted of human tissue. To this day, no explanation has been given as to how such a substance could have gotten into the atmosphere, and what's worse, there are no theories about who exactly it came from. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, we invite you to subscribe to our channel and watch our other videos. Just Know. Daily dose of knowledge.